Welcome to Cents and Sensibility, where we like to talk about money without the stress. My name is Chris. I'm here with my good friend.
I'm Phil.
So in today's episode, we're going to be tackling the myths about debt that almost everyone believes. These myths can keep you from making the best decisions for your financial future, which, we don't want to take steps back. We want to take steps forward. So today, we're going to be setting the record straight. Carrying a credit card balance helps your credit score. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, Chris, this is one of the most common myths out there. The truth is, carrying a balance doesn't help your credit. It just costs you more in interest. For example, I talked to someone who was carrying a $1,000 balance, thinking it would improve their score. But once they paid it off, their credit score actually went up because there was utilization drop. And they weren't really saving money by holding that balance. They were just paying more.
No, that's a great example. And I think to follow on that, in regards to like utilization, a good tip I like to tell people is if you can keep your credit utilization under 30% and pay off your balances, in full whenever you can, which then brings us into myth number 2, debt consolidation solves everything. Well, debt consolidation can be a great tool. It does not work like some sort of magic fix, right? If you don't address the habits that got you into debt in the first place, you could end up with even more debt, and we do not want that, right? An example of this is my brother. He had consolidated over like $15,000 worth of credit card debt, which is to me at the time was absolutely fucking bonkers. And he put that into one loan with a lower interest rate, but didn't change his spending habits at the time. So within, I think it was like a year or two, he had like another 10,000, if not more, in like debt. And it's like, what are you doing? Don't do that. Like this is not what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. If you use a debt consolidation, pair it with a strict budget, you'll avoid repeating the cycle. And that's something we definitely don't want.
Yeah, no, exactly, man. You definitely do not want to repeat the cycle and, get to the root cause of what got you into debt in the first place. Which brings us to myth number 3, right? You should pay off the largest debt first. While tackling the biggest debt first does seem logical, and, for some folks or most situations, it's often better to start with the smallest debt. And some people ask why. And the reason why is because of a momentum, right? And a good example of this would be, let's say one person and they had 3 debts, a $500, a $3,000, and a $7,000 debt. Paying off the $500 debt first would give that person a win and make them feel motivated to say, hey, you know what? If I can tackle $500, what's 3,000? And then from there, what would be 7,000, right? So just essentially, almost like a snowball.
A good tip I like to give people is the snowball method. So paying off small debts first, and that works well for many people because it builds confidence and lets you transfer that confidence and keep going. And that brings us into the 4th myth, guys, which is bankruptcy ruins your financial future forever. So that's just not true. Bankruptcy is serious, but it's not the end of the world. For many, it's a chance to rebuild and start fresh. For example, we had a friend who filed for bankruptcy after a medical crisis, which happens to a lot of people, unfortunately. But within 2 years, they had rebuilt their credit to over 700, and they were able to get lines of credit and, get good grades on cars or houses and things like that.
Yeah, man. No, honestly, bankruptcy is, a very serious thing, obviously if it's on the table, so if it is on the table, definitely make sure to consult a professional to understand, really your options. And because it may not be the option, however, they may have input and advice on how to recover more effectively so you can maybe avoid bankruptcy. If it is bankruptcy, they'll provide you with, options on how to make sure that you do recover from that as well. Which of these myths did you believe? Or do you know of another one we didn't cover? Share it in the comments and let's keep busting myths together. So again, debt is complicated enough without myths making it harder. So just remember, carrying a balance over doesn't help your credit. Debt consolidation isn't a fix it all. It's just a band-aid fix. And starting small can lead to big wins. So the more you know, better choices you can make. As always, hit the subscribe and like button if this episode helped you, and share with someone who might need a little myth busting in their life. And don't miss tomorrow's video where we'll tackle how to build a budget that actually works for you and keep your sense and sensibilities in check.